of the feast of St. Thomas. I remember when I was younger, the feast of St. Thomas was on the 7th of March when he died, the day that he died. But now it's on a different day, the 28th of January. And I want to say something very brief about his role in the order. So there's Dominic, our father, of course, order of preachers, and then there's Thomas. And I think for people in the society at large, he's not thought of as a preacher. And I think he surely did preach when he was alive, but he's not thought of as a preacher. He's thought of as a teacher. He's a professor, you know. And I think this is the way it happened. I think that as he comes from a place near Naples in Italy. It wasn't Italy in those days, of course, but he comes from this a place, Aquino, right, somewhere near Naples, and he went there. That's where he went to school, in Naples, and that's where he met the Dominicans, and they invited him to join, and he did, without question. And then he was brought very quickly to Paris, where he met and came under the tutelage of Albert of Cologne, who was a bit older than he. And then Albert took him to Cologne to continue his studies. And so very quickly he got involved in the university life. And that's the story. You know, he's not so much a preacher, but a professor. And after about 4 years with Albert in Cologne, he went back to Paris and began to lecture at the University of Paris. And so he is Dominican, surely, but if you think of that, that Dominic is a person who believes. So is Thomas, but Thomas is a believer searching for understanding. So that's his Dominic the preacher, and Thomas the preacher longing to understand. Okay, so that's his. So and in a way, the two of them go very much together, and this is the way they go together. That Thomas is searching for understanding, and also very, very early in the history of the order, it comes about that Dominican preaching is taught from within the order itself as a communication of the Christian message, where understanding is an essential component, you know. And I think that's the way preaching has been community among us. That's the way preaching has been communicated to us. And it's Thomas who is really responsible for having somehow modified the notion of preaching in that way. So the preacher becomes a person who is preaching with under the formality of understanding, right? So it's not just proclamation, but for us, but proclamation with the focus on understanding what we're proclaiming, what we are proclaiming. And so that's somehow Thomas's function that's his role, if you will, in the history of the order, as somehow focusing our attention on understanding what we're saying. Of course, but not just that, but not just for ourselves, but for the people who are there before us, whether the brothers in a Dominican community or or an audience or a worshiping community in a church or somewhere else in the church. So that's really what I wanted to say. Preaching as a proclamation or a discourse where understanding is essential.